Hey everybody, welcome back to Comic Talkers, where comics are always the top of our discussion. My name's Bryce.
I'm Mary.
And I'm Brandon.
We are back in reverse order for that intro there. And today we're
It actually
today,
worked this time.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
we
yeah.
didn't have long pauses after.
We saved Brandon some editing, guys.
Thank
Today
you.
we
It's
are
very much appreciated.
yeah. Today we are going through one of our book clubs of the month, and because this is Daredevil December, we thought it would be great to do a Christmas themed book club.
Mhm.
And what better Christmas related Daredevil story to talk about than Daredevil issue 7 from 2011, which is part of Mark Waid's fantastic run on Daredevil that ran from 2011 to about 2015, 2016. It was a good few
2014, I think. Yeah, so it's like 2014. It was a pretty good run.
yeah, it was a good few years of Mark Waid continuously writing Daredevil.
Mhm.
But issue 7 was a standout. Brandon pointed out or reminded me before the recording, this issue actually won an Eisner Award for best single issue when it came out. So it's a very well regarded issue by both critics and fans. It spawned a tremendous Matt Murdock meme of him in the "I'm not Daredevil" sweater.
Which up until preparing for this episode was the only part of this issue I had seen.
Yeah, somehow it
And that is
landed.
because I knit, and every time there is an iconic piece of knitwear in a comic, multiple people send it to me
And
in
Bryce
the
is
hopes that I
making,
will recreate it.
and now at this point, Bryce is going to make you make one for him.
I am, I am, yes. But kind of going more broad before we start our discussion on the issue itself. What did you guys like? What were your guys' initial thoughts and reactions to the issue?
It was really nice to see Matt more human. Like obviously Matt is human, but like
Then let me
seeing
ask.
him do like normal volunteer work.
You know, it's like I brought up before. When you really look at Wade's run entirely, not even just this issue really proves why this is what I'm about to say is more relevant. It's not dark. It's a common issue. It's something that he has to deal with. The fact being that when Mark Wade was interviewed about this, and we brought this up too, is that how can you really make Daredevil a darker character? You really can't. At this point, now you have to revitalize him. And this is why I liked Wade's run, because even though Wade has dark moments, Wade kind of rejuvenates Matt a little bit. And what makes it interesting is this issue. This issue is one of the biggest issues to me that I really do enjoy. And it's just simplistic. It really wasn't really a big deal. It was just, it's, you know, something that Matt really doesn't do a lot other than just save Hell's Kitchen. It's something totally different than what we did. So, but also, too, I will put this out there. I'm a big Paulo Rivera fan. I did love his art for this issue.
Oh, the art's incredible.
The art is absolutely incredible.
The radar sense alone is what gets me every time.
Wade was known for kind of revitalizing how people or kind of yeah, revitalizing and kind of revolutionizing how people see the radar sense.
Yeah.
Because that is the if you look at later runs, if you look at Souls, Zdarsky's, Saladin Ahmed's, that's how the radar's portrayed.
Yeah. It really was well done. I was blown away more at that and how they portrayed it, and how even when they were looking at the Fantastic Four little crest and how he was looking at that, it was just really well done how it was done with the lines, with the black and red, how he looks at everything.
The use of color was really, really good.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one of a Wade's run tends to be one of the more colorful runs on Daredevil, just because everything before that, it's like there was almost a competition with the writers of leaving Matt in just this dark and desolate place and then passing it on to the next writer saying, can, like, how much worse can you make it?
Right.
And that pretty much had been going on since the start of Marvel Knights. So that would have been over a decade at that point of just continuous dark, despair, dreary. And so bringing color back is something that people weren't necessarily expecting, but it was done extraordinarily well.
Well, when you really think, going back to the radar sense too, because I think this is where you kind of come with the blind leads the blind, is that you find out with the snow, it's hard for him to use his radar sense. It's a sense of when you have this, he could barely see 2 feet in front of him. So now he's just as weak as all these kids are, which are blind.
Yeah,
So,
let's kind of build some context around that first. So the main plot of this issue is Matt is going on a field trip with a school bus full of blind children. He's chaperoning them. And along the way, their bus in the middle of this snowstorm wrecks. And Matt becoming, deciding to suit up as Daredevil is responsible for leading all of these children to safety. And that's an excellent point that you bring up about it. It is quite literally the blind leading the blind. There was a similar issue or set of issues where Matt did this exact same thing. It was in Stanley and Jack Kirby's run of Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four numbers 39 and 40. The FF lost their sight, and the only one that could really help them was Daredevil. And so I thought that was a really nice callback, but at the same time, even if it wasn't an intentional callback, it knowing Waid, it probably was a callback. But it is still something that was done with a lot of care and a lot of nuance.
it that's why I said, like, now before we go into that more too, can we talk about your favorite scene in the whole issue with the whole I'm not Daredevil little party thing? Because that does have a not only something unique with the Fantastic Four bench, but it also kind of introduces us a little bit to Kirsten McDuffie.
Yeah, so Kirsten McDuffie is someone that becomes a love interest for Matt. She's also an attorney,
Mm-hmm.
and she heavily suspects Matt of being Daredevil to the point where she goes to absurd lengths to prove that he is Daredevil.
He also literally is like, "Hey, how are things as Daredevil?"
Yeah. There was one issue and this cracks me up because of just the implication to anyone outside of the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
There is a scene where she flashes him and on her bra it says, "I know you're Daredevil." And it's just the implication of, okay, she's flashing a blind man. But we know that Matt can sense that with his radar. And it's hilarious to me. It's honestly hilarious. And this is just a common interaction between Kirsten and Matt because she will just continue to push and push and push because she knows and he's not giving up the information. And so he wears this sweater to a Christmas party that she is also at that says, "I'm not Daredevil." And he accompanies that with a candy cane that is supposed to be his billy club and a headband with horns on it.
And I love how he has a mistletoe at the end of the game as well.
That is on brand for Matt.
Incredibly on brand for Matt.
Oh man. But the that's why I said this whole I love too one of the things going back to the car. So one of the bus accident, because that's what I love. And it's a transition because too, you kind of have like he's remembering this, and then all of a sudden it just starts fading, and then it comes back to light to what he's really dealing with right now. And to see him kind of wake up, I love how he puts on the uniform because, like he says, really nobody's going to know who I am at this point. So
No.
we just go out and do it. And I like how you could tell he's just not used to dealing with children like that. Because when they ask him what happened to the bus driver and he does it, it's like, say something, man. Like, just say something. And and he's like, it's the way he does it. He's like, oh, smooth. Like, that wasn't the smoothest transition ever, but it works. It's like we said, this issue's so interesting because it's like Mary says, it's not something that Matt's used to dealing with. And it's not him
Or
going up.
it's at least something we're not used to seeing him do.
Right. It's not him going up against Kingpin or taking down some of the big name people around New York. It's him helping kids get to safety. It's him learning how to be like the picture that stands out to me is the panel of them having the rope and he's leading them, and it's like him in half the pants, and then here he is with the like his whole outfit on as well in the process.
Yes.
It is
Let
very
me find
iconic
that. Yep.
because then after that's when you get the whole story of him with the radar sense that he can't barely see 2 feet in front of him. And that's why I said the whole panel. That's where here's another shock face that we talk about too, with the whole radar. It's a little,
You get a radar shocked Matt.
because when you sit there and the little girl asks what happens to the bus driver, we're not going to leave him back there.
It's like, how do I tell him that the bus driver has already left us?
Yeah, he's got to stay with the bus. I was like, okay.
Good job, Matt.
He goes,
The captain always goes down with his ship. I also really enjoy how he talks about volunteering with the kids. Where it's incredibly clear that he does not view the children as problem children. And that it's something that really matters to him.
I agree with you there.
And especially when we take in the context of how sheltered Matt was as a child and his emphasis on wanting to get these kids out of their comfort zone to experience new things and find out that new experiences won't hurt them. And that this being something he does annually, it's very much like he's trying to stop these kids from becoming him when they're older.
Yeah. Because then, yeah, they have the car accident. You go through there. He finds help. Finally, this is one of my favorite things. Like, it's hard not to laugh at, but you want to sit there and laugh the whole time. Is when he tells them to scream out, "Help us!" He's telling all the kids, "Hey, help! Scream, scream, help us!" Like he's trying to do, and they're all just running around like, "Help us, help us!" And Matt's like, "No, this is not what I wanted."
It's like, no, don't go anywhere.
You just stand there and just scream. It makes me laugh every time because when he's sitting there and they were like, "Yeah, we'll help, we'll help," and then all of a sudden you just see all the kids just scavenging around all the trees, and it just makes you laugh every time. And it's it's not supposed to be a laughing scene, but it's kind of hard to sit there and not see that. Now, the panel that also sticks out to me is after he gets hurt when he falls down and he messes up his leg more. And what do the blind kids do? They pull the rope that they've been holding on to Matt with. They ended up pulling him through the snow. They get a whole bunch of branches, put him underneath, and they pull him to safety. And I think it's very powerful because even then, it's like you said, the blind is leading the blind, but even then, what happens when that person goes down in the long run too?
And I think too is that it's kind of also showing that the kids don't have to be like Matt to be heroic.
Right.
And like his goal is being actualized.
Right.
They're trying something new. They're putting themselves out there. They're helping another person, but it's still scary. And that's one of the interesting parts.
I want to kind of end with this one then, if you're curious, because we already figured this was going to be a short episode for fans because this is our Christmas special.
And it's one issue. There's only so much you can glean from 22 pages.
So here's my final question for it then. Do you think this issue is actually deserving of an Eisner?
Yes,
Yeah. It's more deserving than some of the other things they've given out Eisners for.
that is fair. Daredevil. Here's what I will say. Daredevil is widely regarded to have the most consistently high quality publication in all of superhero comics. So to have a standout issue of Daredevil that people talk about over a decade later, still in depth like this, proves that it was deserving of an Eisner. Because it's one thing to talk about runs, but it is another thing to pinpoint one issue in an over 40-year long period of consistently high quality storytelling. And so I think that alone just shows how impactful it actually is.
What about you, Mary? What's your take on it winning an Eisner? I know you said yes, it was deserving, but what makes it stand out to you that
It's a more unique take on Matt. And it puts Matt in positions we're not used to seeing him in. It's a newer take on the character. It's still in character despite being a newer take.
Mhm.
It's again, it's an earlier issue in the run too, which I think also kind of makes it more impactful for it to be something that people still talk about. A lot of times when there's a single issue that's talked about all the time, it's like the end of a run or it's the ending of a particular arc in a run. And this isn't really that case. Also, Christmas specials, especially in Marvel, tend to be incredibly forgettable.
Oh yeah.
They're not good. So it's unique in a lot of different aspects. And I think I think one of the things that I find really interesting about it is the way that the first page talks about like Daredevil facing off with five crime organizations and him and the DA. And the first page is really trying to set you up to think this is going to be a really intense, like spy like Christmas. And then the very first thing you see is the school bus. And like the tone shifts and it's just really well done.
Mhm.
And again, they've given out Eisners for less.
you it's like we've already kind of mentioned it. The fact being that this Mark Waid, when you really think about Daredevil, put a different twist on it and made it actually really well done. You know, other than this issue, I don't hear a lot of people talk about Wade's run a lot, and it's sad because Wade's run was actually really good. It was a different outtake. This where we talk about our villains, and Akari came from it, and everything like that. He revolutionized what Matt is overall, and this issue I do feel deserved an Eisner for it, and not only for the words, but it's like I said, like we've already talked about too, the artwork of it all. The artwork I don't think would be really well. The way the snow's drawn in this is really well done. The way,
I think I think too, one of the things that I really enjoy about the artwork is that Matt looks soft.
Yeah. He,
Um,
he looks like everybody's uncle.
yes, he's literally just some guy. Like he's not being drawn as like comically muscular. He's not like for most of the issue, he's not in the spandex. He is literally just some guy, which is really kind of the crux of what Daredevil kind of should be, where he is the street level hero. He is just a man going through the horrors. And I feel like Mark Waid brought us back to that.
agreed.
Well, alrighty. Let's wrap this up. I really enjoyed this conversation with you guys. This is one of my favorite single issues. This is
Now one of
probably my
mine too, now that I've actually read it.
this is probably my second favorite Daredevil single issue of all time. and easily, as Mary pointed out, easily my favorite holiday issue. That there is a lot to love about this, and I'm glad that you guys got to experience it. I'm glad I got to experience it again. And yeah, without further ado, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Brandon, you want to run down that list real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Remember,
Because you're
fans.
the only one who has it memorized.
Exactly. I
I
still
just,
think
I
Stitcher's
just
a
say,
thing.
I've just been saying it over and over again to the point where, or maybe I'm just editing it in. No, I'm just messing. Um, member fans, so subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell notification so you never miss an episode, and like this video. Let us know what you think about this issue. Check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to stay updated with the Comic Talker podcast. Without further ado, now we're going to go back in reverse order. My name is Brandon.
I'm married.
And I'm Bryce, and may comics always be the top of our discussion.